What's up everyone, Mossholder here with Grim Realms Gaming. We're going to continue with part 2 of the limited options series. And the reason why I chose that Kano video, you'll hear me explaining why gap is important. Because first attack, he took 4. Then he took then I knocked him down to single digits. He went from 11 to 8. And the moment he was in single digits, he started reacting much more differently, more defensively. And why having a gap like that right off the get-go can make it very difficult. Then I widen the gap as much as possible until I'm done with the match. But I find it important to be able to keep the gap as close as possible because if you can do that while swinging back, you can perhaps close the gap and open the gap to a medium size, then perhaps a large size. Now, large size is not always the case, but if you can keep it to a medium size gap, that's good too. But we're going to explain the importance of a blue sink below. It may defend for 2, but it can help in those small gap situations. But not only that, if you were to draw into it, it pitches for free resources. Free resources. That is a good number, especially for Ninja or Warrior for that matter, because Ninja double Kadashi plus either Pounding Gale or Life for Life. Dorymphion, if it's got Hit and Run, that's essentially 2 sword cracks plus the attack reaction, which is ideal in the situation. I mean, there's some nasty stuff you can do with this, but we're going to go on with the yellow sink belows. Now, they may defend for a higher value, but certain decks can only take advantage of it. Well, I mean, certain decks can really take advantage of having a low curve if they run a bunch of zero-cost cards, like say 40% of the deck is that, and then you got some 1-cost attacks or some 2-cost attacks. You can really take advantage of sink belows in the yellow value for up defense, but also more resources. So if you want to crack back at the opponent, yellow sink below can help. Now, there is certainly Sigil Soulless, and there is definitely Fate Foreseen. Now, these are red cards, and I see too many lists spamming far too many reds, and while they're ideal in the late game, especially when it's getting down to the wire, we all have to recognize there's got to be a winner or a loser. And even if you stack your deck with a crap ton of reds, odds are you might lose. So I think it's important to find the perfect ratio balance when it comes to red cards, yellow and blue defense reactions, for the matter of preserving your life total, but also you need to find it important to be able to crack back at the opponent. While the gap is something like this, then you try to close, then you try to open it, and then you try to make a huge gap if you can. But I find that why did the ninja list run all 6-foot flags? Well, it's a defense reaction that goes from 2, 3, and 4. However, the fact that the next combo card gets +2 shields. So let's see, the blue flick flag is going to get 2, and the vast majority of that list with combo 3 defense or higher. So that's 7 damage you're mitigating. 8 with the yellow. 9 with the red, which is very, very good. I'm not gonna lie. But I find that the Ranger class can definitely, if built right, be tanky, but also delay the ninja player, simply because we have access to sigils solaces, and they also have access to feign death. And typically Ira likes to go Kadachi. Sometimes second attack is life for life or CNC, and you right there and then you can use feign death against them to prevent that damage, which can be very key. But we also have access to hamstring shot, which costs their attacks one more resource, whether it's a Kadachi or even the Life for Life, or even for that matter Command and Conquer. But there's also Redliner. But there's also Knock on the Death Whistle, which allows you to search your deck for an arrow card, put it on top, then activate the Azalea's ability to give it Dominate. Giving yourself Redliner, Red in the Ledger, Dominate is very, very powerful indeed, for that matter. But they can definitely tank very well. But not only that, they got a variety of stuff. For example, Poison the Tips will also slow them down, because they're practically put in a situation, well, I have to block or it's going to be stripped out of my hand, especially if we have rapid fire going on in multiple ways. But there's also access to Free of a Kind, which can be a +2 if you use a Spring Tunic counter, but it can still be a +1 regardless. Even if you got to spend a resource plus the card itself, it's a +1, but that's very powerful. Even though it's restricted, you could definitely build your deck in a way that takes advantage of that. But I also like the fact that Remorseless, when placed face up in the arsenal, defense reactions can't be played from the arsenal to this, and if you put increased attention in that deck, then defense reactions can't be played from hand or arsenal, for that matter. If you play the red one, you're coming in for 8. That is some nasty stuff right there. And it costs a lot. If for each action they take one loss of life, and this can definitely matter in the end game, for that matter. But anyway, this is Mossholder from Grim Realms Gaming, and I'd like to remind you, enjoy the grind with twisted tea or lemonade if you got to be responsible.